There is a dangerous kind of intelligence that can ruin your life. It is not stupidity. It is the ability to become extremely convincing to yourself. You can analyze people, read psychology, understand power, predict behavior, and still be completely blind to the one person most capable of deceiving you, yourself. We like to believe that our motives are noble. We say we want success because we want freedom. We want recognition because we want to inspire others. We stay in relationships because we care. We remain silent because we are mature. But what if some of those explanations are simply stories your mind invented after the decision was already made? François de la Rochefoucauld spent his life studying this uncomfortable territory. He was fascinated by the distance between what people believe about themselves and what actually drives them. And that distance is where self-deception becomes powerful. Because the most dangerous lie is not the one someone tells you. It is the one that allows you to preserve your favorite version of yourself. Today, we are going to follow that lie through ambition, relationships, status, social media, and power. First, you will see why intelligent people can become better at deceiving themselves. Then we will uncover the hidden mechanism that makes self-deception feel like honesty. And near the end, there is one realization that changes the entire game. Because once you discover why your mind protects certain lies, you may never trust your own explanations in quite the same way again. Number 1. The mind protects its favorite story. Most people do not experience themselves as villains. Even when they behave selfishly, they usually have a respectable explanation ready. The employee who wants the promotion says they are protecting the company. The politician says they are serving the public. The influencer says they are sharing their life, while secretly checking who noticed. The strange part is that these explanations often feel completely sincere. That is the first trap. Self-deception does not normally feel like deception. It feels like interpretation. La Rochefoucauld understood something deeply uncomfortable about human nature. People can hide their motives without consciously deciding to hide them. The mind edits reality automatically. Imagine someone criticizing your work. You tell yourself you are angry because their criticism was unfair. But perhaps the deeper wound is that they exposed something you already suspected about yourself. Your conscious explanation protects your self-image, while the hidden motive remains untouched. This happens everywhere. A founder claims they refuse to sell their company because they believe in the mission. Maybe they do. But perhaps they also cannot tolerate the idea of someone else becoming richer from what they built. Both motives can exist simultaneously. And that is where the story becomes darker. Because the mind does not need to choose the flattering explanation. It only needs to make it believable enough. But if the mind can rewrite the past this easily, what happens when your entire identity depends on the rewritten version? Number 2. Intelligence can make the lie stronger. Intelligence is usually treated as protection against self-deception. But there is a paradox. A clever mind has more tools for discovering truth, but it also has more tools for defending a preferred conclusion. Give two people the same failure. One says, "I made a mistake." The other constructs an entire theory explaining why the failure was actually caused by bad timing, incompetent colleagues, unfair competition, or circumstances beyond control. The second person may sound smarter. They may even be correct about some of it. But notice what disappeared: responsibility. Modern technology makes this even easier. With AI, search engines, podcasts, and endless information, you can find evidence for almost any belief you already want to hold. The internet has created a strange new form of intellectual comfort. You no longer need to ask whether you are right. You can ask the machine to help you prove why you are right. A brilliant executive can rationalize arrogance as high standards. A jealous partner can rationalize control as concern. A political partisan can rationalize hatred as principle. The more sophisticated the explanation, the harder the lie becomes to detect. That is why self-deception is not defeated by intelligence alone. Sometimes intelligence becomes its lawyer. And if your mind can argue both sides of every case, How do you know when it has stopped searching for truth? Number 3. Your emotions vote before your logic arrives. Here is a disturbing pattern in human behavior. We often decide first and explain second. You see a person you dislike. Something about them irritates you instantly. Minutes later, your mind produces reasons. They are arrogant. They talk too much. They are fake. They are incompetent. Perhaps all of those things are true. But perhaps the real trigger is that they possess something you secretly want. Confidence, attention, freedom, beauty, status. The conscious mind prefers a moral explanation because envy is harder to admit than criticism. This is why relationships are full of invisible negotiations. Someone says, "I just want honesty." But sometimes what they really want is reassurance. Someone says, "I need space." Sometimes they are testing whether the other person will chase them. Someone says, "I don't care what people think." Then they quietly monitor every reaction. Rochefoucauld's psychological insight becomes especially sharp here. Human beings are capable of turning private desires into public virtues. The desire does not disappear. It simply changes clothes. And once you understand this, you begin to notice something unsettling. The people around you are not the only ones doing it. Number 4. The person you defend most may be you. Imagine a manager receives anonymous feedback saying that employees are afraid to challenge him. He immediately rejects it. "They're too sensitive," he says. "Leadership isn't supposed to be comfortable." He may genuinely believe this. Now imagine a different manager receiving the same criticism. She becomes quiet. She reviews meetings. She asks whether people stop speaking when she enters the room. The second response is psychologically expensive because it threatens identity. The first response is psychologically cheap because it protects it. Here is the pattern. Whenever evidence threatens the person you believe yourself to be, your mind has an incentive to attack the evidence. Social media amplifies this mechanism. If your identity becomes attached to a political tribe, philosophy, career, lifestyle, or even a favorite intellectual, criticism begins to feel personal. You stop asking, "Is this true?" You start asking, "What does accepting this mean about me?" That is a completely different question. And once identity enters the courtroom, truth is no longer the only thing being judged. Your pride is on trial too. But there is an even more dangerous layer, because self-deception does not only protect you from painful facts, sometimes it protects you from painful choices. Number 5. The choice you avoid becomes a story. Consider a person who has stayed in the same job for 8 years. Every year they say the same thing. "I'm waiting for the right opportunity." They study. They plan. They complain about the market. They tell friends they are preparing for something bigger. And maybe they are. But one day they realize something horrifying. They were not waiting for opportunity. They were waiting for certainty. The story gave fear a respectable name. This is one of the most powerful forms of self-deception because it transforms avoidance into strategy. We do it with careers, relationships, money, health, and ambition. "I'm being patient" can mean, "I'm afraid to risk failure." "I'm protecting my peace" can mean, "I don't want difficult conversations." "I'm focusing on myself" can mean, "I don't want to be rejected." The language sounds mature. The behavior remains unchanged. Here's the twist. You can build an entire identity around the explanation and never notice that your life is being controlled by the fear underneath it. And this brings us to a strange psychological experiment you can perform without a laboratory.